Warmonger. And so now maybe people will give a shit because Donnie Tiny Hands is now our president. Maybe people will see, hey, maybe the government shouldn't be doing horrible shit like this. Maybe they shouldn't be assaulting their own people who are nonviolent protesters. Maybe we should stop this shit, but we're not going to stop this shit. We're not, because our complete political culture is rotten to the fucking core. We have two parties that are really one party, and they don't give a shit about you, and they only give a shit about their donors. And get ready for more war, because that's all this fucking country knows how to do.
So last week, Trump announced he was pulling out of Syria, and because he had literally announced this back in December and then reneged, I didn't take it seriously. But a lot of those in the political world have. Yesterday, he announced that he was going to impose sanctions to increase steel tariffs from 25% to 50% and end trade talks with Turkey. In response to that, Warmonger of the House, Speaker of the House, my mistake, Nancy Pelosi said in a statement, President Trump gave Turkey the green light to attack our Kurdish partners, betraying the thousands of fighters who gave their lives to keep the world safe from the barbarism of ISIS. His erratic decision-making is threatening lives, risking regional security, and undermining America's credibility in the world. I love that statement, but we're going to go back to it in a little bit. The other person who put out something that I think is worth observing and checking out and whatnot is a certain third highest ranking Republican by the name of Liz Cheney. You know, that person who only got elected because of her daddy's last name? And while she was announcing her own bout of sanctions, she said President Erdogan, however you pronounce this man's name, and his regime must face serious consequences for mercilessly attacking our Kurdish allies in northern Syria, who incurred thousands of casualties in the fight against ISIS and helped us protect the homeland. These sanctions are not only, she's referring to sanctions that she was a part of, that are being introduced in the House by the Republicans. These sanctions are not only a response to the Erdogan regime's violent attacks in northern Syria. Congress has long had concerns about the regime's cooperation with U.S. allies such as Russia, U.S. adversaries such as Russia. If Turkey wants to be treated like an ally, it must begin behaving like one. They must be sanctioned for their attacks on our Kurdish allies. So would anyone like to play spot the difference in both Pelosi's statement, the top Democrat, and Cheney's statement, the number 3 Republican? We're getting complaints that this is dooming the Kurds. I mean, look at Pelosi's comment. President Trump gave Turkey the green light to attack our Kurdish partners. Well, hell, if they were trying to attack them prior to us showing up, then they always had the green light. They just had a little bit more people around there to supposedly keep them safe. But, I've been accused very recently of showing a lack of concern, compassion, and really any kind of caring for the Kurds. This is all because I've said that I think we should have been out of Syria. If not when Trump announced we would get out in December, then before that. And I said that my position is one of thinking that the majority of these people who are sitting here and critiquing this are a bunch of hypocrites. You see, Pelosi and Cheney have one thing in common, which is that at various points they have supported the Saudi-led coalition in Yemen, which has caused the worst humanitarian crisis presently. And you can't support something like that, because in this statement she talks about how Trump's decision making is threatening lives. Well, when Congress approved, or rather did not approve of going to that war in 2015, but did approve of selling weapons to Saudi Arabia, in the midst of that, they were threatening lives. They were, risking our security and undermining U.S. credibility in the world, because who can take us seriously when we sit here and cry and moan about the horrors of abandoning the Kurds, when we abandon the right to even pretend to be concerned with anyone who doesn't live on U.S. soil's well-being, if not when we started this genocide in Yemen with Saudi Arabia, than when we invaded Iraq under false evidence. So, this is all window dressing. And I have a question for anyone who supports staying in Syria. When do you intend for us to get out? Next year, the year after that? See, the way this yo-yo works is that every time there's the slightest possibility of getting out of one of these conflicts, they rush and tell you it's a bad idea, this group will be hurt, that group will be hurt. But they can never say or possibly fathom what can be done to where the U.S. doesn't need to be there anymore. So I've yet to see anyone answer, when do you intend for us to finally leave from over there? They have no answer. They are defense contractor drones to the core, and they want to spend a couple years more in that war.